Welcome back to Ghost Teller Media Channel. And if you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. Please enjoy today's chilling stories. So, let's begin. Haunted Lakeside Retreat. The autumn leaves swirled in a dance of crimson and gold as Sarah embarked on her long-awaited vacation. She had been yearning for a break from her mundane routine, and a remote lakeside hotel nestled amidst the dense woods seemed to be the perfect escape. It was said that the hotel had an eerie charm with stories of mysterious happenings that had taken place there over the years. However, Sarah brushed off those tales as mere legends, excitedly setting off for her adventure. As her car wound its way through the winding roads, the forest grew denser, casting eerie shadows across the path. The hotel finally came into view, a grand but weathered building, standing against the backdrop of the tranquil lake. The fading sun bathed the scene in a warm, golden glow, dispelling any lingering doubts Sarah might have had. She checked in, her enthusiasm undiminished. The hotel interior was adorned with vintage decor, elegant but tinged with a sense of melancholy. Sarah was assigned a room on the third floor, overlooking the lake. Her room exuded an air of nostalgic charm, complete with antique furniture and creaky floorboards. It felt like stepping back in time, a sentiment that both thrilled and unsettled her. As dusk descended, Sarah's heart quickened with anticipation. She stood at the edge of the woods. The path before her dappled with the fading light. The forest beckoned her with an air of mystery, its ancient trees stretching their branches toward the sky. With a deep breath, she ventured into the embrace of nature's embrace. The woods came alive with the gentle symphony of nature, the chirping of crickets, the distant murmur of a babbling brook, and the occasional rustling of creatures hidden in the shadows. An owl hooted in the distance, its mournful call a haunting melody that seemed to echo through the trees. It was a song of tranquility, a lullaby that whispered of the ancient secrets the woods held. Yet, despite the serene surroundings, an unshakable feeling of being watched began to gnaw at Sarah's senses. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but an invisible weight seemed to settle on her shoulders. The rustling leaves took on a different tone, and every crackle underfoot felt like an echo amplified by the silence that enveloped her. Her steps grew hesitant, as if a primal instinct warned her to be cautious. Sarah forced a shaky laugh, brushing aside her growing apprehension. She berated herself for allowing her imagination to run wild, attributing her unease to the countless horror stories she had read over the years. The fading light played tricks on her, casting misshapen forms in the corners of her vision. She scolded herself for being so easily spooked, determined to enjoy her peaceful walk. Yet, no matter how hard she tried to shake off the feeling, it clung to her like a persistent shadow. Her steps quickened, her heart pounding in her chest. She felt as though a pair of eyes were boring in her back, unseen but undeniable. The sense of being watched had escalated from a nagging suspicion to a full-blown sensation, and she could no longer dismiss it as mere imagination. Fighting to control the rising panic, she paused once more, her breath coming in shallow gasps. Her gaze darted about, searching for any sign of movement or source of the disquieting sensation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the undeniable truth crystallized. She was not alone. Days turned into nights, and Sarah's initial excitement began to wane. Strange occurrences plagued her stay, flickering lights, distant whispers, and odd sensations that couldn't be explained. She even woke up one night to find the antique mirror in her room reflecting a shadowy figure standing behind her, only to have it vanish when she turned around. Sleep eluded her, and the persistent feeling of being watched intensified. One evening, Sarah found herself drawn to the wall, adorned with a series of vintage photographs. The hallway itself seemed to hold secrets of bygone eras, its wallpaper faded and patterns hinting at a time long past. The photographs hanging in ornate frames captured moments frozen in history, evoking a sense of nostalgia that both intrigued and captivated her. Her steps slowed, and her gaze fixed upon one photograph in particular. It seemed to call out to her, yet, as Sarah's eyes scanned the faces, her heart skipped a beat. Amid the blurred, faded features, one figure stood out, a mysterious man with piercing eyes that seemed to pierce through time itself. His lips curled into a sinister grin that sent a chill down her spine. It was the same man she had glimpsed in the antique mirror of her room, his presence a haunting reminder of the strange occurrences that had plagued her since her arrival. The man's image seemed to hold secrets, a story that transcended the boundaries of the photograph. His eyes bore into her soul as if he had been waiting for her, beckoning her to uncover the truth that lay hidden beneath the layers of time. She reached out, her fingers hovering over the photograph, hesitant yet compelled. The moment seemed frozen in an eternal pause, as if the man's gaze held her captive. Her heart pounded in her chest, and she knew that she couldn't keep this unsettling discovery to herself any longer. With determination fueling her steps, Sarah hurried to the front desk. The receptionist, a woman with a warm smile and an air of professionalism, glanced up from her paperwork as Sarah approached. Her eyes followed the trail of Sarah's outstretched hand, and the warmth in her expression wavered, replaced by an almost slight discomfort. "Excuse me," Sarah began, her voice betraying a mix of urgency and unease. "I couldn't help but notice the photograph on the wall. A group of people from years ago. There's a man in it who, well, he seems familiar to me." The receptionist's gaze flickered to the photograph and then back to Sarah, her hesitation apparent. She seemed torn between revealing something and withholding information. Finally, with a sigh that carried the weight of years gone by, she offered a small nod. "Ah, that photograph," the receptionist said, her tone measured. "It's a part of the hotel's history, though not one we often speak of. The man you're referring to, his name has long been lost to time, but his presence lingers in the whispers that echo through these halls." Sarah's heart raced. Her curiosity piqued. "Who was he? What did he do?" she questioned. The receptionist's gaze seemed distant, as if the memories were both vivid and elusive. He was a man consumed by obsession, captivated by a woman who had the misfortune of crossing his path. His infatuation spiraled into something far darker, leading him to commit terrible acts that left a trail of sorrow in his wake. As the receptionist's words hung in the air, Sarah's mind raced to piece together the puzzle. The chilling familiarity between the man in the photograph and the mirror's reflection sent a wave of realization crashing over her. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place. A stalker whose evil presence has seeped into the very essence of the hotel, a legacy that refused to be erased. "He vanished eventually," the receptionist continued, her voice a mere whisper, "but his spirit, his energy, became intertwined with this place. It's said that his whispers still linger in the shadows, a constant reminder of the darkness he brought into the lives of others." As she turned away from the photograph, the receptionist's sympathetic gaze met hers. "Be cautious, my dear," she said. Sarah left the front desk with a mixture of determination and unease. The photograph had brought her closer to the truth, but it had also unveiled a darkness that she couldn't ignore. The hotel's haunted history was now intertwined with her own, and she knew that her journey to uncover the secrets within its walls was far from over. Shaken to her core, Sarah returned to her room, her thoughts a whirlwind of fear and uncertainty. Was it possible that the stalker's spirit still lingered in the hotel, haunting its corridors and stalking its guests? The stories she had dismissed as mere legends now seemed all too real. Night after night, Sarah's heart raced to the rhythm of the faint, elusive footsteps echoing outside her room. The hallway, once a passageway of anonymity, now held an ominous presence that was palpable even through the thick wooden door. She found herself ensnared by the torment of anticipation, lying awake in the stillness, her senses heightened, waiting for the inevitable. With each passing evening, the dread deepened its roots within her. She would wake to find her belongings subtly moved, her personal space invaded. An unsettling chill seemed to pervade the air, leaving goosebumps on her skin and a sense of violation that went beyond the physical realm. Paranoia became her constant companion. Her once peaceful haven had transformed into a battleground of the mind, where rationality clashed with the inexplicable. She questioned her own perception, second-guessed her sanity, and fought to keep the tendrils of fear from consuming her. But the line between reality and imagination had blurred, and the shadows that danced on the walls became both a canvas of artistry and a mirror reflecting her growing unease. Desperation seized her, the need to escape the clutches of this unseen terror, a gnawing ache in her chest. So, she decided to cut her vacation short. With trembling hands, she packed her bags, her movements urgent yet tinged with a haunting sense of defeat. As Sarah moved with a sense of urgency, a sudden gust of wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles one by one. The darkness that enveloped her was profound, its tendrils wrapping around her like a cloak of despair. Panic surged within her, and her fingers fumbled for her phone, a lifeline in the abyss. With trembling fingers, she managed to unlock the phone, its feeble light casting eerie shadows on the walls. Then a whisper, soft and menacing, slithered through the darkness. "You can't escape me, Sarah." The voice seemed to echo from all directions, a disorienting symphony that bore a warning she couldn't ignore. Her breath caught in her throat, and her mind raced to comprehend what's happening. Tears streamed down her face as she fled the room, racing down the corridor and stumbling into the lobby. The receptionist's eyes widened as she saw Sarah's distress, and she led her to a dimly lit corner to share a grim revelation. The stalker's victims had often heard his whispers, ominous promises that echoed through the night, filling their minds with dread. He had never truly left. His malevolent energy had become an integral part of the hotel. Sarah's flight back home with a blur of fear and relief. She returned to her ordinary life, haunted by the memories of her ill-fated vacation. Yet, the shadows of the stalker's whispers continued to linger, like an eternal scar on her psyche. The experience had changed her, forever altering her perception of reality, and leaving her haunted by the relentless pursuit of a presence that defied explanation. To this day, Sarah shudders at the mere mention of that Lakeside hotel, her mind echoing with the chilling whisper that had pursued her. She learned the hard way that some horrors are rooted in truth, and that not all legends are mere fables. The stalker's legacy lives on, continuing to cast its ominous shadow over anyone who dares to cross its path. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel to hear more chilling stories every week.